I've been working on myself. I really try my best to change, but sometimes even love will fade. Right? Maybe we should stay in bed, pretend that everything's the same. Just a little play pretend. Right?
Hello everybody and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am so excited to have you here with me today. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Rachel and I am a disruptor in the accounting world. So I am disrupting what it means to be an accountant, how it feels to have an accountant, and what scaling your very own accountancy practice looks like. For me, accountancy is one of the best careers in the whole world because of these conversations that I get to have as an accountant. And so today we are taking a deep dive into the one and only Gaby Mendes, running in and out of what her life is like as a CEO, as a business owner. And we were speaking earlier today about how you run a business when you feel like your business is held together by sellotape. So very excited to get stuck into the CEO secrets of Gaby Mendes. So I'm so excited to have you here with us today. Are you okay just do a quick intro into who you are, what you do, and what self-employed life looks like for you?
Yeah, absolutely. It feels weird to be on the other foot because usually I'm interviewing people for the Talk 20s podcast. But yeah, I run a platform and education media business that's all about helping you kickstart life in your 20s, helping you through the finance side of things, the business side of things, the work side of things, managing your well-being, and also having fun whilst you do it too. So yeah, we talk about all the different things and aspects that your 20s throw at you and how nobody really teaches us any of this in school. We do that through our podcast, our social media, events, yeah, you name it, we do it. So that's what I run, and I've done it for 3 years now. Long old time.
So for a lot of people, self-employed life is a journey, and what it looks like now isn't always how it started.
Yeah.
So tell us about how you got here.
Yeah, literally. So I started this company thinking that it would be just an events company, and I started it like just before the pandemic. And then the pandemic hit and I was like, well, you can't do in-person events anymore. So I had to really pivot and change my idea. So the mission stayed the same, like still helping 20-somethings navigate, life in their 20s once they finish education, like what the hell's next. And then I kind of went from there really. So I was doing all of this on the side. So I was building up a podcast, building up an audience on social media, everything on the side of working in events at the time. And then after about just over 18 months, events got really busy because COVID was over and people wanted to go to live events again. And yeah, that's when I was like, had to kind of make that decision, like, do I pursue self-employed life? I'm really trying to pursue this dream of mine, or do I, go all in and do what's required from the events business, because it just got so busy that I just physically couldn't do both. And I had this really big decision to make. And, I was really fortunate, really lucky to be in a position where I had some savings, but also I was in a long-term relationship with my partner, and he was like, I believe in you and your dream, which is a big, very fortunate privilege to have. And yeah, supportive parents and family, and they were like, this needs to be out in the world, so we support you in making that decision. And then fast forward another 18 months, and I've got growing a team now as well, which is really fun but scary at the same time. And yeah, no, it's been a roller coaster journey, and yeah, hopefully, big growth from here on out.
So you answered my next question, which was a lot of people get to that crossroads in self-employed life where they either jump or actually get pushed by someone that loves them. Was there anybody else aside from your partner that really was like an inspiration to you or really motivated you and like made you think that you could do it and you could take it full time?
I'm so lucky to be surrounded by some really amazing people in my life. I have an amazing life coach called Lucy, and she's just been like #1 supporter, and she was like just ever so supportive and was like, okay, well, you can do this, you just need to break it down into steps. And once I broke it down into steps, I was like, okay, this is manageable, like I can do this. And I think having those people who are in your life who don't have an ulterior motive, like they don't have any other reason to help you or support you than just, I believe in you and I want you to do well and I think you're capable of it. I think that's key. And sometimes, those people are hidden in all different kinds of places. But for me, that was my life coach, Lucy.
One of my favorite questions to ask anybody that I speak to that wants to be a client or anyone that's self-employed is, what are your plans for the business? I think it when someone asks me that question, it can feel quite scary. And there's a lot of stuff actually that you're quite scared to have, like you're quite scared to say out loud. You might have hopes and dreams for the business, but you think like, oh, I'm taking up too much space, or I can't say that out loud. So like, what are your plans for Talk 20s?
Space. No, I think for us it would be like being known as like the platform that helps you through your 20s. And I think we're there for the people who know about us, but the reach, we need to reach. So I think for us, it's helping people through their 20s in whatever way we can. So of course we've got the podcast. Not everyone listens to a podcast, so can we help them through our content on our social media, on our website? Can they come along to an event that they might enjoy? And I think it's about growing the brand in that kind of way. Essentially, I kind of see us as like a media and events business, but our goal is to obviously help and educate and inspire the next generation. So yeah.
Finance question. Not a scary one.
Okay.
If you were to describe to me what the inside of your business looks like, what does that look like to you?
I think probably chaos is like the best word and the most honest word that I could probably say. I always say like if I wasn't marrying my fiance, I would marry my accountant, because the amount of times, he's been like, this is the way to do things, and like guided me through. Like I kind of feel like I've got my eyes shut and I'm literally being guided through like in the dark most of the times. But when you have an accountant that is like, patient with you and will tell you everything that is going on and will explain to you like the basic things that you feel like, oh, I should really know this, but they don't, and there's no judgment there. I think that's really key and crucial. And you can't, I've only got one accountant to compare, but I think that's really important. And without him, I would be totally and utterly lost and would not be in this position. So yeah, I would say like, it's organised, but it's organised because of Chris now, but before it was chaos.
And what services do you pay for, accountancy, accounts-wise?
So obviously we like pay like QuickBooks and stuff like that to do like the day-to-day and stuff like that, and then mainly just end of year tax returns and self-assessments as well. So yeah.
And do you plan to save for tax as you go?
Well, we've only just gone like VAT registered, so it's a whole new thing I'm learning about.
So you mentioned that you just became an employer for the first time.
Yeah.
Tell us about that. How did it happen? Was it on the radar? Like,
I've always I think like, with the mission that I was growing, like for me, it was never just, I think when you grow a business, and you'll probably say this, and you grow it through a personal brand, it's really hard to do everything yourself. But also Talk 20s didn't actually, it can exist without me. Like it doesn't have to be because of my personal brand, and I wanted to always expand that. So it was always in the vision to employ someone or some people to work alongside me. But I guess I didn't realize it would happen as like quickly as it has. All the people in my team have approached me about working for the business. Like none of them I've like really like pitched, I've not put like a job ad and then found them. So yeah, Georgia, I delivered a workshop at her university, and she walked up to me at the end of the workshop and was like, I really want to work for you. So now she's our creative producer. She does all of our content, all of our editing. Amazing, just does so much stuff, literally, yeah. And then Felix, he reached out to me because he wanted to start a podcast. And then when I was looking for a co-host, I was like, well, we literally have the same kind of mission, and he didn't get so far with his podcast. So I was like, how about you come and join us, because we need a male perspective on the podcast. And then, yeah, some of our other recruits that are kind of freelancers and stuff like that aren't full-time, they've all came through, people reaching out and saying, I love what you do. Can I be a part of it in any kind of way? And for me, that's the biggest thing when I'm like recruiting someone. It's that drive. It's that like get up and go. They just are really invested in the business. That means more to me than like anything else. So,
for sure.
Yeah.
Cool. So we spoke earlier about having a North Star, like plans and goals for the business, but lots of people who have a business and a personal brand, myself included, really struggle to, it can feel like opportunities and invitations are coming left, right and centre. Like how do you work out, what's your North Star in terms of like how you work out what opportunities to say yes to and what opportunities to say no to?
It's really hard because I feel like sometimes everyone's like, say yes to everything, but like it's really just not possible, like a lot of the time. And yeah, you kind of have to learn when to say no. It's kind of looking at the bigger picture in terms of, what opportunities could this bring in? Who could I meet from this? Yeah. Sometimes you'll be right and sometimes you'll be wrong, and you kind of just have to say, okay, this didn't go, this wasn't as exciting as I thought it would be, or it wasn't that. I think when you run a business and you run, you need cash flow and you need revenue and stuff like that, obviously you know, opportunities that bring in money come first.
Yep.
And they're the most important things, you know, the people who pay your bills. So that comes first. And if there's anything we can add on to that can either bring us in new revenue or new contacts, then that's the next layer. And then nice to haves is everything else after that. And if I'm too tired or we're overstretched as a company and as a team, then those things that are nice to haves, they don't happen, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I always try to aspire to have some nice to haves in a week, because it's kind of often the things that you look forward to the most. So yeah, try and just balance as much as possible, as much as we can.
And then how do you navigate resource allocation between personal brand and Talk 20s?
Nothing really goes towards my personal brand, to be honest. Because for a long time I was, you know, initially I had a personal brand before I started Talk 20s, and then I threw all of my energy into really growing the business. And then only now have I kind of stepped back in and started content creating from my personal brand side of things. And boy, do I wish I had, because the viral video we got last week was like one of our biggest, you know, things, and helped drive the other business. So I now see that there's two of those things. But yeah, no like resource really. It's literally just me when I have a spare time to create content and post up there, or tell my story, or go and speak at an event or stuff like that. You know, maybe it takes up a couple of, you know, Georgia's hours in terms of her thing to maybe come and film it, or to come along and attend an event with me. But realistically, not very much goes into my personal brand, and everything is all about, and if it does, it's all because we're pushing it back to Talk 20s, because that's the overall goal, really.
But saying that,
you
had a moment after saying that no resources go.
Well, no, I mean, as in like, we don't put money, like so much money or energy into it, but we were like, oh, we should post more on TikTok. And we, you know, just felt like it wasn't going well for us. And we were like, let's just experiment with loads of different ideas. And so I had a personal TikTok that genuinely, I posted some funny like memes about my boyfriend and stuff like that, or like, you know, holiday collage on there, had 70 followers. And I was like, no, I'm going to turn it into a personal brand page, and I'm going to do some content around that. So we started our supposedly TikTok challenge, where we're going to try and post 3 videos a day for as many days as we could, just try and experiment with content. And the second video I posted hit 1.6 million views.
And counting, like it was within a week,
still
right?
Going up, it was crazy. And like, now I've got like nearly 6,000 followers on that account, and I had 70 a week ago when I was sat here. Hadn't even posted it by this point a week ago. So it's really crazy how that can happen, and how a personal brand can like drive a businessman's
Because you've seen impacts on Talk 20s already, right?
Yeah, oh God, yeah, it's come through in like other followers, people listen to the podcast, so I'm going to continue to do that. But yeah, it is an extra nice to have, but I definitely think the more that we invest in that, I think it goes to show that the stuff we're talking about is so valuable, because the post that went viral is exactly what we talk about on the podcast as well, which is helpful for me, because it wasn't just like a rubbish trend or, you know, a little random video that made no sense. Like, it was actually like, oh my God, like it ticked every single thing that we talk about. It was just true to like who we are and what we promote, which is really exciting. And I think the more that we can do stuff like that, then the two just become as one, and it is what it is.
And how do you see your personal brand career going in a different direction to Talk 20s, or is it all the same direction?
Mostly all the same direction. I think I would like to personally write a book, just putting that out to the universe. Hello.
You're manifesting it.
Yeah. Publishers, please watch this. I would like to write a book. I mean, I've interviewed so many amazing people on Talk 20s podcast. Rich is gonna be one of them. And yeah, we're gonna have amazing, we've got amazing insight from so many different young people, that, you know, a book based on all the things that I've learned from all the different people and all the wise words, I just think would be amazing. So it's already basically half written, just need to find a publisher. So yeah, I think I would like to step into like author world. That's really like my personal brand goal, I would say. And I'm more speaking gigs as well. But yeah, and then the rest is all focused on growing Talk 20s.
So something that I struggle a lot with is, I think sometimes when you have a personal brand in a business, you have like 17 different things that you want to tick off the list at all times, and you tick them and you just immediately, like, you don't even have time to like stop and pat yourself on the back, or like almost like say thank you to yourself. You just move on to the next thing. And I have a coach mentor, and she got me to do an exercise last week, which was to imagine your end goal, Rachel. Like, close your eyes, imagine what it feels like to be that Rachel. And when you look back on your life, what would you say to Rachel today? And like, it's basically an exercise in like self-compassion, because I today like work 14, 16, 20 hour days, like push yourself. You never ever take time to stop and be like, the work I'm doing today is building the business I'll have tomorrow, what would like end goal Gaby say to Gaby today?
Before I answer that question, I wanted to ask you a question, which was, is current Rachel a previous Rachel's aspiration?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Yeah.
Because for me, that's the case right now. And I think I'm in a space where I'm like trying to figure out, okay, what is the end goal, when I kind of feel like I didn't even really imagine, like, okay, I've got a team now and I've got, you know, sponsors and we're growing this, and it's like, I need to like kind of find new
Because I feel like I challenged you earlier when I said
yeah.
what's the goal, and you said about events, and I was like, dude, you'll do that in 6 months. Like, what's the
Yeah.
actual goal? And you were like,
And it's really
harder.
hard
Yeah.
to know. And like, I think, you know, I think it's also because it, you know, it can go in so many different ways. And I think because the main thing I did right at the start was I pivoted really early on. It's that like, I don't want to say that it wants to go in this clear direction when I know that a pivot is possible, because I've already done it literally like 3 months in at the beginning. So of course there's goals and targets that we want to hit. Like we want to do a huge large scale event. We're talking like festival vibes, like 10,000 young people. Like, and I think I'll cry if I ever get to that point. But like you're saying, like, yeah, you could do that like soon. And I'm like, really? So yeah, I think for me it would just be to create, you know, a media organization that can employ loads of young people to help loads of young people.
So imagine you have like not the desk that you want upstairs. You have like
like a full great, like a floor of like, like a whole media organization. Like that's that Gaby. And what am I asking her to say?
So like, what would that Gaby that's got her own like corner office and like a whole floor of people,
Wow.
what would she say to Gaby today?
She would say, keep going through the hard times, because there's good times coming, and even better times coming, like more than your wildest dreams. Because I think even like me, I say that now to like past me, is that, you know, there are some really hard times, and it's about picking yourself up, being resilient, and going, no, I can keep doing this, and showing up for your team, and being strong, and I think that's actually what I would say.
It was an emotional question. Like when I got challenged to do it for the first time, like I was like crying. Like, I feel like self-compassion and that sort of.
You're like even pushing me to be like even put my dreams even bigger. Like it's a question that I probably need to still sit down with, and have tried to sit down with my, you know, life coach and be like, okay, right, kind of hit the goal, like what's next? Well, the goal wasn't even big enough in the first place, and then now it's like, okay, let's map out what it really looks like, and then all the steps to kind of get there. But it's a scary old thing, and like I never in my wildest dreams thought I would be managing a company at 27, and just figuring out day by day, business being held together by sellotape, full circle. So literally.
Thank you so much for your time today. Later on today, we are going to be filming a Talk 20s podcast episode. So the roles will be reversed. We'll be sat in opposite seats. So tell us about the best ways to support you as a creator, as a personal brand, and Talk 20s. Where can we find you?
Thank you. So you can find us on all your podcast platforms if you want to listen to the Talk 20s podcast, and the one that Rachel's going to be on. Just search us on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, whatever is your favourite platform. If you're not a podcast lover, find us on socials. We do loads of other stuff there. We've also got a Talk 20s to Me newsletter. If you want some little joyous inbox fun, then definitely sign up to that as well. And yes, tell your friends if they're in their 20s, or your sons and daughters often when people are watching, to tune in to Talk 20s and give us a follow. I appreciate it.
Amazing. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I hope to see you again very soon.